Hello and welcome to my presentation on context, past, present and future. My subject for today is called Remasters and Remakes, Pros and Cons. Is the gaming industry lacking creativity? And the reasons as to why I did it, as you can see here, is because I wanted to see, especially in recent years, why there are so many remasters and remakes being done. Because it seems to be happening a lot, and films has also been known to do this. This is also a term called sequelitis, where they just produce game after game, whether it be sequels, remasters and remakes. And I also wanted to check out, as my main question, to see whether the gaming industry is lacking creativity as a whole. Now, my research methodologies are various articles, YouTube videos, and a questionnaire. The reason why I wanted to do the questionnaire as my most paramount primary resource, is because I needed to make sure that, because this isn't just from my opinion, I need to get sources from other people as well as my own, just to get overall a nice general feel of what people's opinions actually are, so that way I feel comfortable with overall creating a good consolidated opinion with the appropriate research methodologies used. Now, the difference between a remaster and a remake is what I'm going to go over, because as GameRanks put it, one of my YouTubers that I use to research this subject on, is because they never really made the terms less confusing in a sense, because people don't know what the difference is. So here's the difference. Okay, so you've got a remaster. A remaster is when it's usually from past gen to next gen console. It's the same blueprint of the game, but all you have is just different textures and different resolution to make the game feel smoother and much better, and added content that you would have to buy previously. So all the DLCs, for example, would be in the remaster and not the original game. A remake is when they have to start the video game from scratch. That means everything from the original game is null, it's defunct, and you have to create everything from the ground up, and it's essentially just a different game entirely. With, for example, Ratchet & Clank. Ratchet & Clank is got all the elements from the previous games, but it's still a different game because, like I said before, it gets elements from all the previous games and creates it into, in my opinion, a very good game with solid graphics. And what I found out was very interesting, because even though both remasters and remakes are different in what I just explained previously, they actually use the same reasons for marketing strategies and reasons for making it as well, which goes into marketing strategies as well. And it also shows that, especially on the AAA front, that companies are not willing to take risks. The pros. With the pros, it gives a chance for great titles to exist in next generation games. We should think games as a piece of art, like a tapestry you would see in a museum, because now it's actually being developed as an art form, as any movie now, which is great in my opinion, for other reasons that I will explain in my conclusion. And another pro is it could redeem the franchise. This is a very important thing to take into consideration as well, and one specifically for remaster is it's cost effective, which is one of the main reasons why people do remasters, because it is a cash grab and a very good way to make money, because you do have a strong fan base, which goes with both remakes and remasters, because for them to be remade, they would have to be a much-loved franchise or much-loved game to be remade or remastered in the first place. Now, we'll go on the cons. This, I've mentioned before, is a cash grab, because what you see with a lot of companies, especially on the AAA front, not so much on indie games, but they tend to not really understand as to why the game should be remade and remastered in the first place. For example, there's certain mechanics that people like and want to see preserved. Maybe there's certain visuals and certain art styles that stand the test of time, e.g. Spyro and Crash Bandicoot. And from the opposite end of the spectrum with redeeming the franchise, it could also ruin the franchise, as well as another big thing that people do not seem to take into consideration is how much it will actually cost to be remade. And Extra Credits was very good at noticing this, saying that the games that need to be made the most are usually the ones that need to be remade, in a sense. Which I definitely do agree with him on that, but that also makes them a lot more commendable, because when it works, it works. Now, these were the questionnaire results. The majority said that the gaming industry is lacking creativity because they release games that don't need to be remade. Another good example is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, the remastered version, which, yeah, there's loads of Call of Duty shooters, and they don't really need to be remade because at the end of the day, time and resources can be put towards something better, to new ideas, and for the fact that people actually need to take risks is an important thing, because not also is it just important that people do make money from this, it's also important to understand that video games is an art form, and I can never say this point enough because of how much it means to me as a potential game developer. And also, another thing is that the same games kept on popping up quite a few times. Ratchet & Clank was very popular, Crash Bandicoot, and Skyrim Remastered. So this proves that these games do get enough recognition if done right, but obviously when it's wrong, it does fall downhill, and it also shows that money and resources can be put to better uses. So, this is my conclusion that I gathered from all my sources. The gaming industry is lacking creativity, especially on the AAA front. There are many great ideas developing in the indie games development, which was pointed out by one response in particular, because especially with misadvertising and the way the media controls certain things to go a certain way, and especially very biased in quite a lot of ways, especially say with IGN reviews, for example. They tend to give very positive reviews on franchises that they'll know that they'll do well, and like I said previously, that they are afraid to take risks. And overall, bigger corporations need to know that video games are becoming an art form. Like film has given enough time to be developed, video games now are giving they're just being seen now properly, especially in in the bigger media corporations, because they realise that video games are getting near enough as big budgets as films are, and now, especially with VR, virtual reality, it's seeing that video games can go even further than most media outlets, because not also can you tell a story, interact with the story, you can immerse yourself inside the story as the narrator or participant of the story, and that is a very incredible thing. How much was that?
Just 9 minutes, 10 seconds.